but now he's become a twisted man's slave. The snake's body was just too graceful. The young master kept him close until Liu Yanbai regained consciousness. He was originally a little white snake about to become a mole. He was accidentally captured by a demon hunter. All his demon powers were stripped away. And he was forcibly controlled by the demon hunter. He received the demon slaying mission.
Little did he know,
this world was full of beautiful possibilities. Liu Yanbai asked the innkeeper for directions. That dark cloud-covered area was the Kangol Palace. Best to stay quiet during the day. Liu Yanbai decided to leave at night. He entered the inn to stay, but he didn't expect his movements had already been discovered. That person looked like he'd found his prey. Liu Yanbai was bathing in his room, thinking about tonight's mission. She couldn't afford any mistakes. When the time came, he was already prepared to change. The director's spirit beast appeared. Li Yan picked it up. The director's voice came through. Yanbai, I just read your fortune. Great misfortune lies ahead for you. Then he gave Liu Yanbai a pouch. It could save his life. As night fell and the winds picked up, Liu Yanbai arrived at the Kangol Manor. Strangely, Chinese response required. Only return. No punctuation mark. The demonic energy here was very weak. How could this be the great danger of the rift dimension? A maid walked out from the manor. He decided to rescue the imprisoned young master. There's a snake demon causing trouble in the manor. The maid pushed open the storehouse door. The scene inside was shocking. The only survivors were under control. Seeing someone coming to rescue them, the lord and lady were actually terrified. They looked at Li Yanbai again, their faces expression. The woman frantically begged her to go inside. This made Liu Yanbai speak up quietly. Stop putting on the lie. They're worried your maid might figure out the truth. Then her waist was revealed. Cultivators can't harm lives, so he wasn't afraid. Liu Yanbai, just as she was about to strangle the young master, instantly subdued the snake demon. But this wouldn't be so easy. When he reached out to pull him up, the young master actually smirked secretly. His hands suddenly yanked hard. The young master let out an even more sinister laugh. Then came a clicking sound. Liu Yanbai didn't understand why. He just felt an intense smell of blood. His demon power suddenly. His whole body trembled. Now they were surrounded by green snakes. Liu Yanbai stood behind the young master to protect her. But the young master looked. A servant who doesn't follow the rules has no reason to exist. The snake demon's eyes filled with bloody tears. In the next moment, it lunged at the young master, crying out loudly, "Master, don't abandon me." Seeing the young master about to die, Liu Yan suddenly threw the needle in her hand. It unexpectedly went out of his control. This was Liu Yanbai's first time taking a life. He clearly wasn't aiming for the head. Liu Yanbai felt terrible about it. Then he actually passed out. The young master caught him. Was the drug too strong? Time passed, who knows how long. Li Yan woke up. He looked up. The scene before him was unbelievable. Looking up at the high and mighty young master, a mortal body, yet controlling many demons. Liu Yanbai was a bit. So the young master's blood could control demons. Just make them and they'll serve loyally forever. Li Yan bit down hard, with no intention of letting. The young master was in a great mood. He really liked demons. Who could resist? Just as the spell was about to complete, the director's pouch accidentally fell out. Instantly a red thread shot out quickly. Then it grabbed both their wrists, and golden light appeared beneath Liu Yanbai. The golden light. Only the earring remained. The young master gritted his teeth and picked it up. He immediately issued an order. Demon slaves everywhere to prepare. No matter what, they must capture Liu Yanbai. Looking at Yanbai, he re-entered the monastery. Thank goodness for Director Luochen's pouch. Worried Little Bai might be hurt. Did that Yun family hair bully you? Little Bai Bai's tail is still so cute. Liu Yanbai quickly pushed Lu Shen away. He should also notice the red. I didn't expect it would develop to this point. This red thread represents an emotion. A love tribulation is and an opportunity. Just survive. Then you can become an immortal. Liu Yan's eyes instantly lit up. Patting Little Bai Bai's. That snake tail was pulled back and became obedient. You're the child I raised and taught myself. How could I bear to see you suffer? In the blink of an eye, several months passed. Li Yanbai received a letter. An urgent request for help. Wu Zhang said it was serious. When he saw the location was Zufang Pavilion, the capital. Liu Yanbai remembered the capital's young master. Auntie was just about to say Zufang Pavilion is a bluff, when Lu Wuchen grabbed her neck and said, "Little Bai Bai, don't worry, I'll give you 2 good methods." The young master also arrived at the pavilion, looking for a sitter. He searched everywhere in the capital. This matter is now known to everyone. The madam wanted to make him happy. She specially arranged several people for him. But these shadow things, the young master had no interest at all. Instead, he asked about the quarters in Yaozi. Supernatural events happened at the courtesan's residence. Whoever stayed there would die, except for the courtesan Yaozi. Everyone else would suddenly die, like bodies drained of life force. The young master was quite surprised hearing this. He was more willing to meet this courtesan while he was thinking about how to catch demons. That woman's figure and temperament were outstanding. Very similar to the snake the young master was looking for. The girl tripped on her long dress, fell right into the young master's arms. Liu Yanbai forced a smile when he thought he could fool him. Master actually told everyone else to leave. Next, he got straight to the point. He'd already recognized Liu Yanbai, did understand his intention, but couldn't miss out on honey. Li Yan's mind and body were both refusing, but the young master unexpectedly and even hooked a red thread on his wrist. This definitely crossed the line. Bai pinned down the young master, shouting loudly, "Don't touch that!" The scuffle eventually turned into what those outside heard. In the madam's ears, plus the shadowy figures on the window. Young people sure play rough. The young master regained control. He was the one pinning Yanbai to the table. What does the red thread on the mic? Li Yanbai found the situation cold. When he was about to use his secret weapon, a cry of pain rang out. Someone claimed the fox demon was causing trouble again. The fox demon was looking. because legend said the person was possessed by a fox demon. As the two entered the courtesan's room, there was indeed hair on the floor. At that moment, the young master got angry. He actually forcibly pulled Liu Yanbai onto the bed, so other people's voices could be heard. Outsiders' voices came through. As the shadow got closer, the young master appeared with great composure. But what he didn't expect was that this person was an obedient little girl. Liu Yanbai also poked his head out. The little girl smiled slightly. She rushed forward, but calling out loudly, "Mother!" The young master's head was spinning. Buy one get one free is actually pretty great. Is actually a male snake. Even if there's only one scale that can be lifted, it's not for producing little creatures, but has other special functions. The pure little white snake's animal nature emerged. He was both angry and furious at the young master. As a snake man in a pure stage, Liu Yanbai was actually called mother, not only becoming a male by accident. There also appeared an unexpected. The girl might know something. The young master covered Liu Yanbai's mouth. He wanted to reveal the fox demon's whereabouts, asking, "Little Wa, do you remember me, your father?" "Call me dad." Those words really scared the mother and daughter. Xiaoqi, to achieve his goal, actually really called out. In an atmosphere of family affection, everyone originally had ulterior motives. Xiaoqi's performance suddenly erupted. She said her sister was exhausted, so she hoped to see Mother Wang. Last time, Xiaoqi brought them to the room. Xiaoqi gently woke her sister on the bed. Liu Yanbai also came over. A pair of hands reached out from under the... After tightly grabbing Liu Yanbai, the young master originally planned to rescue, but Xiaoqi approached his thigh. That woman didn't attack. How strange. She actually started talking privately with Liu Yanbai, making the young master unhappy that they should fight. A huge hole was blasted in the by Qi Chong. Demons broke in to capture the fox demon, harming people. Unexpectedly, Liu Yanbai stood in the middle. He actually wanted to save that fox. The fox demon already killed many people, making the prince angry. He ordered his demon slaves to attack, but he felt his strength was real. Yanbai shouted loudly, "Sir!" Using a rope to bind the demon slaves together. He wanted the young master to think carefully. If there really was a fox demon who killed over 10 people, what the fox demon said was to entrust her sister Xiaoqi to someone. Xiaoqi is the only one the fox demon little sister can't walk the road ahead together anymore. Xiaoqi couldn't bear it anymore. Purple smoke filled the surroundings. A fox appeared standing behind the fox demon's sisters. Liu Yanbai also met an old friend, the one who wrote him Han Wuzheng. Han Wuzheng closed his small eye. The next instant he transformed into human form. He happily hugged Liu Yanbai tightly. So reunions are beautiful, aren't they? But it made the child's father jealous. You could smell the soreness through the screen. The young master wanted to eliminate the mastermind behind everything. Little Bai, to plead for Han Wuzheng, actually bowed his head to the young master. Accepting the young master's explanation before the sound. This move was really effective on the young master. He agreed to give Han Wuzheng some time. Next was Han Wuzheng's story. This was an unusual human-demon love. From a noble work that could never be touched, finding a beautiful flower, embodied transformed, becoming an anxious, only because he was influenced by the princess habit. To protect Han Wuzheng as mentioned before, Liu Yanbai took out something important. While the young master had no guard up, he actually rushed forward for a surprise attack. This method was only temporary, though it restrained the air and his subordinates. Then Liu Yanbai applied a bit of pressure. The young master closed his eyes and lost consciousness. The minions were also restricted in movement. Turns out Li Yan applied smoke to the handkerchief. What the director personally made was no joke. Don't let Han Wuzheng misunderstand. I really do want to listen. Back in the young master's room, it was like the young master never woke. Liu Yanbai worried the mist might have bad effects. It was all the director's terrible idea. The reason he did such inappropriate things was because otherwise he wouldn't have done it. He wanted to quietly leave at this time. His body suddenly started trembling. A very fragrant scent drifted over, making him swallow involuntarily. That smell was coming from the young master. Liu Yanbai craved the tasty. However, his whole sir, he discovered something unusual. The original text realized he was doing something very strange. Realizing he was doing something extremely strange, then he also noticed the young master suddenly, controlling the unintentional impulse. Immortal Yu Shen's self made the young master laugh. Liu Yanbai realized he'd been tricked. The young master was just pretending to be knocked out. Just now he was also being controlled by the young master. This isn't uncontrollable. After demons drink, they'll periodically need to drink again. Otherwise it causes unbearable reactions like coughing blood. He wanted Li Yan to stop resisting and obediently become his demon slave. This situation was unbearable for Li Yan. His people constantly capture little demons. Many demons who never harmed anyone either. At this moment, a pill was swallowed. Li Yanbai was teased speech. This is a pill made by a Chinese person. Only this can reduce the withdrawal symptoms. Next. You don't have to be my demon slave. Where are we going? You must come with me. The villagers actually refused help. Instead, they rushed to drive away the outside. Xiao Chuan had just woken up. Uncle De Wang was the one leading them. Just like I explained to Uncle, these two are immortals I brought to help. Xiao Chuan asked about the village chief again, but Dali's reaction was pretty weird. He actually denied there was any plague in the village. He clearly didn't want outsiders getting involved. Li Yanbai had to reveal her identity. Only then did everyone barely accept. All along, they stayed on high alert. They sensed a vague killing intent nearby. When crossing a suspension, they could see the result. Shizi lost his footing. Luckily, Li Yanbai caught his waist in time. He took the chance to flirt Li Yan, making his delicate wife blush bright red. They arrived at Nanshan village. Every household had white mourning banners hanging. The two were assigned to stay in the inn. Xiao Chuan wanted to go home, but the Zhuang kept him to serve the guests. Xiao Chuan could only show them around. Along the way, there was some bickering and flirting. Shizi finally found some time alone. He instantly changed his expression. He called out his demon servant Xinglan. Yan had searched the village with his scouting ability. You can enter but can't leave. He also found something unusual there. When night fell, the villagers started gathering. Xingsheng was woken by the noise. He reached the source of the scream. He saw people cremating bodies. He covered his mouth in shock. There were still living people being burned. He remembered what the village chief said before, telling him to leave Nanshan village and to never come back. This made him turn. He also alerted those people in black. Just then, a hand reached out. Shao Chuan couldn't dodge and got grabbed. No, he was done for. It was Liu Yanbai and Shi Zi. Chuan begged Liu Yanbai to help save the village. Zi and Liu Yanbai exchanged glances. He pulled out a map. 5 spots were circled in red. Those 5 array points needed to be avoided. As a local, Shao Chuan led the way. They felt like something was watching them. Shi Zi didn't miss this chance again. He was flirting with Liu Yan, wanting to hold her slender waist. Liu Yanbai refused. Even so, she tearfully held Shi Zi's hand. His leg was injured. He couldn't keep up. According to the map, Shuan arrived up ahead. The rabbit area was actually a cave. The cave was surrounded. No way. At this moment, Shuan reached out his hand. 各请Liu Yanbai help, or he would have drowned. Who knew a black shadow would suddenly appear? It lunged straight at Liu Yan. Everyone was stunned by this thing. Not only was it way bigger than a normal rabbit, its eyes were blood red. Even native Shao Chuan didn't recognize it. Liu Yanbai tried to catch the giant rabbit. That rabbit was incredibly agile. It knew to pick on the easy targets. Liu Yanbai had to use her spiritual power. This made the giant rabbit again. Just then, Shao Chuan noticed with shock. His shoulder had been bitten. The village chief gave me these clothes. They hadn't realized yet how dangerous the bite was. When they got back to their lodge, Liu Yanbai held Shi Zi's injured body. Then she checked his footing. Sure enough, it was swollen like a pig's trough. While removing the bruising for Shi Zi wanted to reward Xiaobai. He kept asking if she'd come play with him. Deep into the night, Shi Zi's eyes snapped open. While Liu Yanbai was still sleeping, Shi Zi snuck into her room. But defenseless, beauty lay before him. His strength was immense. Liu Yanbai couldn't resist. Like a wild beast, the crazed man roughly attacked Liu Yanbai, finding her most vulnerable spot, looking at Shi Zi's room now. He hadn't noticed Xiao Chuan had snuck off. Liu Yanbai tried to hide her emotions. If there's a scar, bathing and changing clothes won't be convenient. The emotions had disappeared, but they hadn't really disappeared. They'll show up under certain conditions. Years later, outside the capital, they heard an unusual sound. A young man fell from a tree. Yanbai immediately treated his wound. The boy soon coughed up a whole apple. When he saw the beautiful woman before him, it was like meeting an immortal. He said his name was Sha. He came to Beijing looking for an immortal. That immortal had snow-white hair. Very powerful. Right after he said this, Liu Yanbai matched his description perfectly. A disaster had struck Shuan village. Too many villagers had died. That's why he came looking for the White Road Immortal. When the White Road Immortal herself asked, "How did you know this name?" Shao Chuan actually forgot. It just popped into his mind. They decided to investigate Shao Chuan's village. On the lodge, they discovered something. He could actually talk. Shao Chuan's amazing. Shi Zi wasn't so lucky. An angry bull knocked him off a cliff. Liu Yanbai leaped down. Shi Zi thought he was going to die. Immortal Liu's dying with me. Liu Yanbai actually told him to shut up. She held Shi Zi tight to me. Luckily, there was a pool at the bottom. Did the immortal already know there was water below? Shi Zi asked in it. Liu Yanbai. Snakes naturally sense water nearby. Shi Zi was told to get off her snake form quick. The two were busy expressing their feel. They completely forgot about Shao Chuan. Wu Di was still a slow turtle. This turtle was Shi Zi's demon servant. Too slow. Couldn't keep up. Leia had revealed her demon form. She couldn't transform. She suggested rest. Continue tomorrow. Something felt off about this mountain. Shi Zi assigned Wu Di to keep watch at night. Night fell deep. Everyone quieted. Wu Di kept watch dutifully. Then Shao Chuan got pinned by him rolling over, trying to get the turtle to poke its head out his attention. He looked up to see a group in black. They were staring at him unfriendly now. When the pure immortal returned to her, her allure is beyond imagination. Just a few touches in made her whole body go weak. The cold beauty got attacked by a pervert at night. While Liu Yanbai was still asleep, he pounced like a wolf. No matter how she resisted, she couldn't fight back. He became confused, acting strange. Just when Liu Yanbai, her neck bit him, he suddenly collapsed. She had arrived just in time to save his wife. When Shao Chuan woke up, he noticed the two seemed to have done something strange. Shao Chuan blushed. Shi Zi was just examining her, checking if Xiaobai had any wounds. After all, Shao Chuan was bitten before. It made him lose his mind. They thought Shao Chuan would behave for a while. He said he just had a dream. He met his mother. The village chief raised him was that. To uncover the truth, Shao Chuan decided to sneak out. He didn't realize his every move was being watched. Shi Zi sent someone else to have Wu Di follow. At the village chief's house, when he saw the village leader, he was shocked by what he saw. The chief's face was lifeless. He held him tight. No, it was good. The chief realized he didn't have long. After telling Shao Chuan about something hidden, he immediately pulled out the knife. He'd raised himself since childhood. The villagers rushed over to get the hidden item for Shao Chuan fought hard. He had to fight everyone with his knife. Wu Dai, the eye showed his true colors too. Shao Chuan reached the spot the chief mentioned. Inside he found two things. One jar was sealed tight with talismans. Books were stored in. The words longevity secret were written on. When Shao Chuan opened the book, he learned the truth about Nanshan village. Nanshan village had a rumored secret recipe. Using the mountain god's flesh could grant eternal life. So-called mountain god was a pangolin. The chief had always believed in eternal life, but when he saw their desperate resistance, he had doubts. He secretly hid a baby pangolin. That's when he also found young Shao. He began to understand all creatures have spirits. He wanted to stop hunting pangolins, but the villagers were already obsessed. All the pangolins were still captured and killed. After reading the chief's letter, the jar likely held the only remaining ganga. 这不是没做过 Once friendly uncle 的指望 demanded Shao Chuan hand over the secret because Shao Chuan was not a real Nanshan village resident. They had to burn Shao Chuan before the villagers went crazy. Liu Yanbai and Shizi appeared just in time. They'd been busy last night, specifically telling the chief not to burn corpses. They got something very important. What made honest people turn evil? He got the chief jar. Inside was the last longevity medicine. To get this treasure, the villagers swarmed forward. Just then, the jar echoed as it hit the ground. It was completely empty. Everyone thought Shao Chuan hid the treasure. They beat poor Shao Chuan badly. Even so, Shao Chuan said no to get the longevity medicine. They wanted to put the chief who ate it in a pot. This was unbearable for Shao Chuan. Watching his father figure about to be caught, he completely lost hope in Nanshan village. His whole body was wrapped in black resin. Then he floated above the iron pot. With one thought, he flipped the pot over. Everyone was terrified. Uncle De Zhuang, who was so arrogant before, could only beg for mercy now. Because Shao Chuan made such a big scene, the main characters had to show up. When they arrived, it was already hell on earth. When Fan Xiaobai arrived, Chuan attacked without discrimination. Or rather, it wasn't Shao Chuan anymore, but something calling itself the Mountain. Chuan was possessed by a vengeful spirit. It wanted to destroy those who killed the mountain god. When the towering resentment attacked, Li Yanbai blocked it somehow. The delicate body was nearly torn apart. Then she collapsed in Shizi's arms. No matter how Shizi called out, her eyes stayed closed. She didn't move. Li Yanbai fell into Lena. If she was strong enough, could she save more people? If she descended earlier, could she protect all living things? Meanwhile, Shao Chuan slowly spoke. He called Shizi a cursed child. He said Shizi's life was already short, so he was helping him along. Who knew Liu Yanbai would wake up there? Hidden affection emerged. It blocked the attack of them both. Not only did her lost demon power fully recover, the energy even surged toward Shao Chuan. Shang's body lifted up. Seeing Shao Chuan still resisting, the couple got in position just as they prepared to fight again. Shao Chuan's eyes changed color. The possessing spirit was pulled out. This time for real. The mountain god dissolved the pangolin's resentment. This was the last remaining. Without a soul, the pangolin would cease to exist. One option was to inherit the mountain god's power. Shao Chuan didn't hesitate. He never wanted to become anything special. He just wanted to stay with friends and family. The mountain god granted his wish. It left behind a trace of the pangolin's soul. Finally, it gave it to Li Yanbai. Just needed 1,000 years to reincarnate. Shao Chuan returned to normal. The matter was perfectly resolved. Shizi rested against his wife's back. But Li Yanbai had something on her mind. The vengeful spirit had clearly said, they say Shizi is a cursed child who won't live long. Later, Shao Chuan just woke up. He saw two people doing strange things. Just because they got back to town too late. Liu Yanbai asked for 3 guest rooms. The prince changed his mind and asked for 2. Then he tossed Shao Chuan on the floor. Let the sleeping kid have his own room. Since he didn't have enough silver, Xiaobai had to share a room with him. Then he started comforting Xiaobai. Turns out this time Xiaobai acted totally different. He actually nodded shyly. Shizi's little trick worked. But before he could get too high, Xiaobai's body suddenly went limp. Looking at Xiaobai's hazy eyes, the prince knew his withdrawal was ticking. This made the innkeeper guess their relationship. Because in his eyes, rich kids play pretty wild. From the innkeeper's point of view. Then the prince called Liu Yanbai and rushed toward the room. Poor Shao Chuan was still on the floor. Nobody cared if he lived or died. Right then, Liu Yanbai was placed on the bed. Shizi made a big move and got on his knees. Open this. And sir, just drink my blood. You're watching Liu Yanbai struggling to hold back. He wasn't calm and composed anymore. He showed his fangs, going for the wound on the prince's face. After a while, Liu Yanbai calmed down a lot. That bit of blood was enough to bring him. But the prince's heart was racing. He went weak and fell onto Liu Yanbai. His strings even came out. Then, everyone hit the rope. Who knew that just nearby in temple? Shizi suddenly felt his heart skip and lightning struck right where they were headed. Bayin Temple. They rushed into the temple to chat, and smoke and fog were everywhere. And Shao Chuan got drawn in by some sound. When he turned back around, he got separated. Silly. Shao Chuan kept walking, not knowing what was waiting. Meanwhile, the prince couldn't find his wife. He wandered carefully through the fog. There was a red-haired seductive woman. She treated the prince like a puppet on strings. Liu Yanbai found the prince in the smoke. But when the prince turned around, he realized Xiaobai was different from usual. His smile was so delicate and natural, and he threw himself into his arms. Then he saw something shining gold. He thought it was some amazing treasure. But when he walked over, he found it was a scorched golden rat, giving off the sour smell of blood, making Shao Chuan's eyes light up. Since lightning struck Bayin Temple, he passed out in the prince's cloak, and the clueless prince was still searching everywhere. Fake Liu Yanbai walked up behind him. The prince got startled by whoever was in front. Liu Yanbai could never be this forward. not only throwing himself, but wanting to go into the woods with him. This made the prince smirk wickedly. The body was definitely Liu Yanbai, but inside was someone else. When the fate got exposed, she flew into a rage and came. But the moment she touched Shizi's chest, she vanished in an instant. Then when Liu Yanbai woke up, he just crawled out of Shizi's arm and got held in Shizi's palm, who asked if his arms were warm and cold. Liu Yanbai flicked his tongue, but realized he couldn't speak. In this form, he not only couldn't talk, he couldn't even resist. Could only let the prince play with his snake body. Liu Yanbai felt this was absurd, because the lightning strike hurt his foundation, so he couldn't turn back. Suddenly he felt a shock. The prince touched somewhere he should, so that he wanted to escape those hands. But the forbidden spot was now being stroked by Shizi. He shook his head hard at Shizi, begging him to stop. But what happened next made things worse. Xiaobai looked drained of energy. He thought when he turned back human, he'd never admit it was him. Right then they ran into Xiaochuan. Xiaochuan also had an animal on his back. It was a huge golden rat. He was originally the temple's hive, but also got struck back to his true form. Xiaochuan first, seeing the knocked out big rat, Xiaochuan wanted to give him mouth, but before he could lean in, the golden rat woke up. Uncle spoke seriously with nonsense, trapping silly kid Xiaochuan, not only turning him into a fanboy, but learning Xiaochuan had godly strength. He pushed Xiaochuan down with one rat paw, leaving Xiaochuan under him. After a series of training sessions, he successfully conquered poor Xiaochuan, making him Ratty's personal mount. But the moment Ratty met the prince, things got tense between them. Since Liu Yanbai was Ratty's master, Ratty felt about the prince like his precious cabbage got stolen by a pig. Since Xiaobai met, he hasn't been home and half, so Ratty wanted to take Xiaobai back. But how could the prince let go? They immediately started fighting. The cabbage the old father raised got stolen by this pig. After finding hickeys on Xiaobai, the old father almost fought the prince to death. When this elevated more returned to his truth, he became an adorable golden rat. Don't let his harmless looks fool you. His methods are ruthless. Just got himself a fanboy and wanted him to pledge his body, so Shehan ran away, but got chased down and tackled to the ground. Ratty kept yelling about benefiting humanity. After this man-beast conflict, Xiaochuan became Ratty's mount, but they barely gone anywhere. When they ran into Liu Yanbai and the prince, since Liu Yanbai was Ratty's master, Ratty felt about the prince like his precious cabbage got stolen by a pig. Since Xiaobai met the prince and never visited him again, Master Rat wanted to take Xiaobai back, and the prince wouldn't back down either. They immediately started brawling. Then a golden flash, Xiaochuan and Ratty disappeared, ended up somewhere strange, and got grabbed like thieves, just as Xiaochuan was being caught. The prince walked out the front door. Turns out this was the prince's manor. The prince smiled slightly, ordered the guards to catch that big rat. Almost got Ratty roasted, but Liu Yanbai came out to plead. That's what spared Ratty's life. Right after they got back to the capital, they heard the city was in panic, because kids were disappearing every night. The prince guessed demons were behind it. But when they went out, Dad looked meaningfully at Shizi. Son, what's going on here? All these weird things around you. Once they left the manor, Ratty said proudly he wouldn't help. He tried to drag Xiaobai back, but he said he wouldn't get involved. Then got slapped in the face by a carrier. Turns out he'd already asked Auntie to investigate. Now those kidnappers were by the river, exposed to Ratty. Had to go along. Auntie led them to find the kidnappers. Weirdly, these guys were just regular people. They subdued them easy. Right then something weird happened. The river water started flowing backwards. A good thing Xiaochuan and Ratty worked together. Looking at Ratty's throat, Xiaochuan felt like something was missing. The kidnappers they caught were gone. Right then Liu Yanbai sensed something. He actually jumped off Shizi. This freaked Shizi out. He had to go down with him no matter what. Ratty talked him down. Since the current was so strong, going down recklessly meant death. Uncle said demon energy just appeared. That's why Xiaobai went underwater to track him. But the prince grabbed him and lost his temper. They both cared about Xiaobai, but these two were at each other's throats. Just when things got tense, Monk Xiaochuan. Ratty felt himself, and confirmed he gave the prince an evil smile. This rat gave his powers back just a matter of time. Once this rat gets his true form back, finding Xiaobai will be easy. Since Xiaobai fell in and disappeared, well, the prince sent the whole city search, but they got very few leads. Only from the kidnapper's mouth. Said the kids were offered to a water demon, and to find Xiaobai. At night, the prince went to the middle of the lake. Meanwhile, Xiaobai underwater, he followed that water demon. When the water demon entered a cave, his body vanished. Anxious Xiaobai chased after him, but got wrapped up by water drops. Turns out he'd been spotted all along. The water demon questioned Xiaobai's identity. Lake water came crashing down. Xiaobai got stuffed into a shell. Next moment, he calmed the flood. Seeing the water demon's true power, Xiaobai knew he was no match. He crawled out of the shell and asked, "Your powers are so deep." The water demon said he was a lake immortal. Just casually saved some drowning water. They entered the water demon's cave. Xiaobai saw he didn't seem evil. Turns out floods kept happening in the lake. He asked Xiaobai to investigate. Right after Xiaobai agreed, he said something happened to the prince. The boatman stopped the boat. Then the two looked at each other. One of them rushed forward, forcing the prince underwater. Shizi realized in horror. The boatman was a water grass puppet. The water grass cut his limbs, making him fall into deadly death. But right then Xiaobai showed up, took a deep breath, gave him half his ginseng and went up. Basically woke Shizi up. Now, he had enough oxygen. Looking at Liu Yanbai looking different. His snake body was so tempting that the prince even stared for a while. This was precious air. But the prince went crazy and kissed her without hesitation. Li Yanbai's eyes went wide, gulping down blood. Turns out the prince bit his own tongue to ease Xiaobai's withdrawal, and after drinking blood, Xiaobai actually threw himself blushing into his search for wounds on the prince. After drinking all the blood from the wound, his withdrawal was still gone. He wanted to bite the neck, but the prince stopped. He said, "Whatever immortal one, just say it out loud." But Xiaobai just whimpered. He couldn't speak. Looks like he drank too much blood. He lost his mind. The prince lifted Xiaobai's chin. "If you want my blood, then promise to be mine." This got Shizi feeling so smug, not only taking advantage of Xiaobai, but tempting Xiaobai with his blood, making him promise to be his. Turns out Xiaobai had already lost his mind, just to drink Shizi's blood. But right when they were getting cozy, that water demon suddenly appeared. He told Xiaobai to stay away, said the prince was bad for Xiaobai, but Xiaobai hugged Shizi tight. Eyes, they're ambitiously at the water, seeing the red thread on their wrists. The water demon sighed it was too late. Remembering his own past, he invited the prince and Xiaobai inside, and the prince wanted to bandage his wounds. But Xiaobai's snake body was huge, wrapped tightly around his legs. Bloody Xiaobai was soft and clean, and only had eyes. Shizi asked gently if they should go in. Xiaobai answered, "Whatever you say." Thought they were just going in to bandage wounds, but these two lovebirds didn't know. This decision would make them regret it big time. The prince carried Xiaobai. They took over the water demon's bed, and the water demon brought medicine to stop. When he handed it to Shizi, Xiaobai leaned in and sniffed the bottle, but ended up sneezing non-stop. Turns out it was from the earth smell, refreshing and mind-clearing. While Shizi was using the medicine, the water demon kept silently watching, like he was plotting something. Then Xiaobai mysteriously fell asleep. Looks like they couldn't go back for now. Just as they were chatting, suddenly tons of water grass came in. They acted like they had a mind of their own, splitting up and regrouping to destroy the water grass at its soul. The water demon chased out of the house. Now looking up at Shizi, they were already wrapped in water grass, and Xiaobai wouldn't wake up no matter what. The water grass called itself Old Man. Said if the water demon won't eat the fresh goose, might as well give them to him to enjoy. This made the water demon, since he had other plans for Xiaobai. Then he pulled out the spirit controlling the water grass and pinned him to a rock with his sword. That water grass wanted to destroy this place. Ken, maybe.